AITA for leaving after my girlfriend told me the door was open if I was unhappy. Mandatory throwaway account because this story involves real people and I don't need the drama. Also, sorry for the length, but there's a lot to unpack here and the ending is worth it. I promise. This is probably the longest post I've ever written, but trust me, every detail matters for the full story. This happened about 8 months ago, but I'm finally ready to share it because the final chapter happened last week and, honestly, it was better than any movie I've ever seen. Some of you might think this story is fake because of how perfectly everything fell into place. About 18 months ago, I met Valerie, 26, at my friend Rylan's housewarming party. Rylan is a hilarious electrician who somehow makes more money than people earning twice his salary. He's got side hustles, weekend gigs, buys and flips cars, but most importantly, he has a supernatural talent for spotting trouble from a mile away, especially when it comes to women. He's like a human lie detector with better stories. Valerie was absolutely beautiful, an Instagram model type with everything fake. Nails, eyelashes, lips, probably more things I preferred not to imagine. She introduced herself as a social media consultant, which sounded impressive until I found out it meant 4,000 followers and maybe $30,000 a year promoting protein powders and detox teas. I'm building an empire, she told me within 10 minutes. The red flags were there early on, but I was thinking with the wrong head. On our first date, I suggested a casual restaurant. Her response, I was hoping for something more high-end. I have to maintain my image for my followers. We ended up at a trendy steakhouse where she ordered an $80 Baggio steak. She spent the dinner photographing her food instead of eating it. Then, when the $200 bill came, she had a work emergency. Second date, same thing. Third date, she showed up in a $400 dress with the tag still on. I bought this just for our date today. Don't you think I'm worth it? Like an idiot, I kept saying yes. She never paid for anything. Not dinner, not coffee, not even her Ubers. After 4 months, she started staying over more often. First weekends, then Sunday through Thursday because my roommate's boyfriend is so loud. By the 6th month, she had basically moved in, though she never officially admitted it. Her clothes were in my closet, her makeup in my bathroom, hair products everywhere. But when I suggested she contribute to the utilities, she magically wasn't living here, just staying over a lot. Her contributions to the household, zero. I'd come home from managing million-dollar projects to find dirty dishes in the sink and Valerie on the couch watching reality TV. I'm not your maid, Marcus. I have my own career to focus on. She ordered delivery constantly. $5 breakfast smoothies, $35 Instagrammable lunches, $50 or more for dinner, all on my card because she was reinvesting in her business. When the credit card bills topped $800 a month just on takeout, I tried to talk to her. Her response, part of my brand is trying new restaurants. This is literally part of my job. But are you making money with 4,000 followers? It's about building engagement. Rome wasn't built in a day. Sure, but Rome also didn't cost $800 a month on DoorDash. Dishes piled up because doing them dries out my hands for photos. Laundry overflowed because it's too time-consuming, and I have content to create. She didn't do groceries because I don't know what you like, but she did have time for 2-hour drama-filled phone calls, 3-hour nail appointments, and endless social media research. Every time I brought up money or responsibilities, she'd get offended. I thought you cared about me. Or she'd drop lines like, successful relationships require investment, as if me paying for absolutely everything was my contribution and her only role was to look pretty. This went on for 12 months. Rylan started dropping hints about Valerie pretty early on, but I was too stubborn to listen. We'd be working on some remodel at his house. That guy is always fixing something. And he'd make casual comments. Hey, Marcus, weird question. Does Valerie ever pay for anything when you guys go out? Sometimes, I'd lie. We take turns. He'd reply, funny, because I was behind you two in line at a coffee shop the other week and saw her play dumb when they gave the total. Just started staring at her phone like she didn't hear them. I'd say, maybe she forgot her wallet. He'd say, maybe, or maybe she's got selective hearing when numbers are mentioned. A few weeks later, Marcus, not to be that guy, but I saw Valerie posted stories from that super expensive brunch place downtown. Wasn't that the same day you told me you were tight on money because of the new roof? Me. She must have gone with friends. Him. Must be nice to have friends who pay for $40 plates of eggs. Rylan had this way of planting seeds without being pushy. He'd just mention things and let me draw my own conclusions. The problem was, I didn't want to draw them until his birthday party happened. Rylan had rented out a rooftop bar for his 30th, and the deal was everyone paid for their own drinks. Standard. He covered the space, we covered our own food and booze. I watched Valerie work the room like a master manipulator. She'd approach different men, compliment their shirt or their watch, laugh at their jokes, and somehow, always ended up with a full drink without ever pulling out her wallet. By the end of the night, she had probably drunk $100 worth of cocktails without spending a dime. Your girlfriend's got a real talent, Rylan said, appearing beside me at the bar. What do you mean? I mean, she just got her 4th free drink from 4 different guys, and you're the only one here who thinks she's taken. I looked around and realized he was right. Every man she had spoken to was looking at her like she was available. She wasn't wearing the necklace I'd given her. She didn't mention having a boyfriend. She did nothing to indicate she was there with anyone. Maybe she's just being friendly. Marcus, brother, there's friendly, and then there's collecting free drinks like they're Pokemon cards. Your girl is playing a different game than you think. But I didn't want to hear it. I was convinced Rylan just didn't understand Valerie's personality, that he was being overprotective, that maybe he was even a little jealous of what we had. What an idiot I was. The breaking point came last month at a fancy networking event downtown. One of those young professionals and entrepreneurs meetups where everyone tries to impress each other with business cards and elevator pitches. Valerie had been begging me to take her for weeks. This could be huge for my business, Marcus. I could meet potential sponsors, collaborators, maybe even investors. Valerie's idea of networking was basically to flirt with any man who looked like he had money. She called it building meaningful business relationships, but it was pretty obvious what she was really doing. The event was at a lavish venue. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, waiters in bow ties serving champagne. Valerie had spent 3 hours getting ready and had bought a new $600 dress for the occasion. First impressions matter in business. I need to look successful to attract successful people. We arrived fashionably late because she needed to make an entrance. She had studied the guest list online and identified several high-value targets. See that guy in the navy suit by the bar? He owns 3 restaurants. The tall one by the windows, commercial real estate. That one with the beard just sold his startup for 7 figures. How do you know all this? LinkedIn, Instagram, business journals. You have to do your homework. The networking began immediately. While I went to get us drinks, Valerie was already in a deep conversation with the navy suit guy about the intersection of social media and hospitality marketing. When I returned with her wine, she was touching his arm and laughing like he was the funniest person on earth. Marcus, this is Raymond. He owns Bella Vista, Capper, and Stone, and that new place on 16th Street. Raymond, this is Marcus. He works in construction. The way she said construction made it sound like I dug ditches instead of managing multi-million-dollar projects. Raymond shook my hand with the enthusiasm of someone greeting the waitstaff. Valerie was just telling me about her social media business. Very impressive. What specifically did she tell you? I asked. She's got quite the following and specializes in lifestyle content. I might have her do some posts for my restaurants. Valerie beamed like she'd just closed a deal with a Fortune 500 company. When Raymond walked away, she was already scanning the room for her next target. See? Raymond is going to pay me $500 a post to promote his restaurants. Did he actually say that? Well, not in those words, but in business, you have to read between the lines. The pattern continued all night. Identify a successful man, engineer an introduction, lay on the charm, collect business cards, and vague promises of collaboration. I spent the evening talking to actual professionals, contractors, architects, project managers. Legitimate networking. Every few minutes, I'd look over and see Valerie with a new target, touching arms or adjusting their tie. Your girlfriend is quite the networker, one architect remarked. Yeah, she's building her social media business. Interesting approach. Most consultants I know lead with strategy, not that. I glanced over and saw Valerie practically leaning into the commercial real estate guy's chest, looking at his phone with him. I excused myself to use the restroom. When I came back, the situation had fully escalated. Valerie was practically draped over a man in an expensive suit by the bar, hand on his arm, laughing, playing with her hair, the whole performance. This wasn't networking. It was blatant flirting while I was standing 15 feet away. The guy was eating it up, leaning in to whisper things that made her laugh and touch his chest. They looked like a couple on a first date. I walked over, and she didn't even notice me. When she finally saw me, she didn't pull away or change her body language. "Honey, she trailed off. She didn't even know his name. "Paul," the guy said, sizing me up. Designer suit, expensive watch, a $200 haircut, pure confidence. Paul works in commercial development. He was just telling me about opportunities for content creators who understand luxury markets. "We need to talk," I said to Valerie. She rolled her eyes. "It can wait. We're having an important conversation about business partnerships. Now." She followed me to a corner, radiating attitude. "What is your problem, Marcus? You were all over that guy." "I was networking. Maybe you should try it instead of being antisocial. Networking doesn't involve touching someone's chest and whispering in their ear. You're being ridiculous. You're just seeing things because you're insecure. What I'm seeing is my girlfriend flirting with another man right in front of me." "Flirting?" She laughed, so loud that people turned to look. "I'm just naturally friendly. Just because you're socially awkward doesn't mean I have to be." Classic Valerie. Making me the problem. "I don't appreciate you acting like that with other men when you're here with me." "Acting like what? Someone who knows how to build business relationships? You know what your problem is? You're insecure, and it's not attractive. All I'm asking for is basic respect." Respect. A real man wouldn't get jealous because his girlfriend is talking to other people. A confident man would be proud to have a girlfriend who knows how to work a room. Working a room and flirting are two different things. Everything is flirting to you. "You know what? If you're so miserable, the door is right there," she said, pointing to the exit. "No one is forcing you to stay." Those words. "The door is right there." As if I were just some guy bothering her instead of the boyfriend who paid for absolutely everything, including the $600 dress she was wearing. Maybe I should use it then. "Of course not. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to pout, drive me home, and apologize to me tomorrow for being dramatic." And she was absolutely right. That's exactly what I would have done up until that moment. "You're right," I said. "The door is right there." I walked out without another word. No goodbye, no waiting, no looking back. My phone started ringing before I even got to my car, but I didn't answer. I had some serious thinking to do. The next morning, I was at Ryland's by 8 a.m., sitting in his kitchen telling him about the networking event disaster. Ryland's house is every man's dream. Huge workshop in the garage, an incredible kitchen, a home theater, and somehow cleaner than most people's bedrooms. He was making his famous breakfast burritos while I recounted the story. Ryland has this ritual of cooking elaborate breakfasts when he needs to think. He cooks like he went to culinary school, which is weird because he's an electrician who learned everything from YouTube. "Brother," Ryland said, flipping eggs with one hand while chopping peppers with the other. "I have been waiting for this moment for literally a year." "What do you mean?" "The moment you finally saw what everyone else has been seeing. That girl has been using you like an ATM with benefits." Ryland stopped cooking and pulled out his phone. "Look at this." I saved this screenshot from her Instagram because I knew this conversation was coming. It was a post of her in my kitchen with some inspirational quote about manifesting abundance. The caption read, "Morning vibes in my beautiful kitchen. Grateful for this blessed life. Boss babe living my best life. My kitchen, which I pay the mortgage on." "There's more," Ryland said, swiping to another screenshot. Another post from my living room about creating the perfect space for success, tagging the expensive throw pillows she'd bought with my card. "And this is my favorite," he continued. A picture of her next to my truck. "My man works so hard to give us this amazing life." The comments were all her friends saying how lucky she was. "Ryland, I need your complete honesty." She told me if I didn't like it, the door was there. What if I actually walked through it? Ryland's face lit up like it was Christmas morning. "Now you're speaking my language." That's when my plans started to form. Project management teaches you to think systematically, plan for contingencies, document everything, always have backup plans. My company had been trying to get me to transfer to Phoenix for months. Better position, a $10,000 raise, signing bonus, full relocation package, company car. I had been putting it off because of her. Rylan almost dropped the spatula. Dude, you turned down $180,000 and a company car for a girl who doesn't even pay for her own food. Said out loud. It sounded pretty stupid. It is, but it's fixable. We spent the next 3 hours planning everything. Rylan understands contracts, leases, utilities, all the logistical stuff that can make or break a plan. So, utilities are in your name, mortgage is obviously yours. What about her car? That BMW she drives. I co-signed for it because her credit was terrible. She barely makes the payments on time. I've been helping out because her income was so inconsistent. Rylan smiled. This just gets better and better. The plan was simple but thorough. 1. Accept the transfer to Phoenix. 2. Systematically shut down everything I was paying for. 3. Document everything. 4. Disappear before she could manipulate me into changing my mind. How long? Rylan asked. 2 weeks, max. 1 week to finalize the transfer, 1 week for her to feel the consequences. And you're not going to warn her? I thought about it. Part of me wanted to be the bigger person, to give her a chance to apologize. But then I remembered her pointing at the door and telling me I'd never do anything because I never do anything. No warnings. She said the door was there. I'm going to walk through it exactly as she suggested. Rylan raised his coffee mug in a toast. To walking through doors, to finally growing a spine, and to the most epic breakup I'm ever going to witness. Valerie came home Sunday at 3 p.m., probably expecting me to be apologetic and groveling like I always was after our fights. She'd been sending increasingly frantic texts all morning, which I had ignored. Marcus, where are you? Are you seriously going to ignore me all day over nothing? This is so immature. We need to talk like adults. I'm coming home, and you better be there. We are going to fix this. Instead of finding me ready to apologize, she found me in the bedroom, meticulously packing my suitcase. What are you doing? She asked, not sounding concerned, more annoyed, like I was making noise and disrupting her Sunday routine. Following your advice. Using the door. She laughed. Not a nervous or confused laugh, but a genuine, you're being ridiculous laugh. Stop being so dramatic, Marcus. You're not going anywhere. I continued packing methodically. Clothes folded, toiletries in travel containers, important documents in a waterproof folder, laptop and chargers in their protective sleeves. I pack like I manage projects. Organized, efficient, leaving nothing behind. Look at me. Where are you supposedly going? Your parents' house like a teenager throwing a tantrum. She sat on my bed, scrolling through her phone as if this whole thing was a joke she didn't have time for. I've got it handled. What she didn't know was that I had been on the phone with my company's HR department that morning. I not only accepted the transfer to Phoenix, but I also learned some very interesting things about relocation policies. It turns out when you move for work, the company helps you break leases, transfer utilities, change addresses, and even provides temporary housing while you find a permanent place. Very useful information. I had also called a moving company that specializes in corporate relocations. They could have my entire house packed and moved within 48 hours if needed. Another useful resource I hadn't known about. This is stupid, Marcus. You're overreacting about last night. Paul was just being friendly and sharing business ideas. Those kinds of people are naturally more outgoing because networking is part of their industry. Is that why you took his business card? She froze mid-scroll. I didn't take anyone's business card. I pulled out my phone and showed her the picture Rylan had taken from across the room while I was in the bathroom. Crystal clear, her taking Paul's card with both hands, laughing at something he said, then tucking it into her purse like it was classified documents. Were you spying on me? I was having my friend document my girlfriend's behavior at a professional event. Good thing, too, because apparently my memory isn't as reliable as photographic evidence. She stood up abruptly, realizing this might actually be serious. Marcus, you're spiraling. Taking someone's business card isn't cheating. It's not even inappropriate. It's literally what business cards are for. You're absolutely right. You did nothing wrong. And now you're single, so you can take all the business cards you want. You can't just break up with me. We live together. We have a life together. You live in my house, use my utilities, eat my food, watch my streaming services, and apparently, give out my phone number to potential business contacts. There's a big difference between that and having a life together. I zipped up my suitcase and headed for the bedroom door. She followed me down the hall, her voice getting higher and more desperate with every step. Where are you going? When are you coming back? You can't just leave me here. I'm not coming back. The door was right there, Valerie. Thanks for pointing it out. Marcus, wait. This is insane. You can't just abandon me over a misunderstanding. But I was already loading my suitcase into my truck. As I started the engine, I could hear her screaming from the porch that I was being immature, dramatic, and throwing away something good over nothing. The irony was absolutely perfect. I spent that week at Ryland's place while I finalized the details of my move. Ryland was having the time of his life, getting a front row seat to the entire drama. Dude, you should see the texts she's sending me, trying to get info, he said on day 2, showing me his phone. I'm just responding with memes and movie quotes. The texts were exactly what you'd imagine. Ryland, where is Marcus? This isn't funny anymore. He's acting like a child over nothing. Tell him to come home. I need to talk to him. This is ridiculous. All over one conversation. Can you just give me his number? My phone says it's disconnected. Ryland's responses were true works of art. A shrug gif. Not my problem meme. A gif of someone walking away dramatically. Sorry, I think you have the wrong number. Marcus who? Don't know him. Did you try checking the door? I heard it's right there. Meanwhile, Valerie was getting a crash course in what it actually costs to be an adult. Everything in the house was in my name. Mortgage, utilities, internet, even the streaming services she used to binge-watch reality TV. I started shutting it all down systematically, like a project manager closing out a job site. First, I called all the streaming services. Hi, I need to change the password on my account immediately. My ex has been using it without permission. Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, Spotify, Amazon Prime, all secured in a single afternoon. Next, the utilities. I'd like to schedule a disconnection for the end of the month. I'm relocating for work and will no longer need service at this address. The customer service reps were very understanding. The internet company was surprisingly helpful when I explained that someone was using my service without authorization. We can disconnect the service immediately if you like, sir. Unauthorized use is a violation of our terms. End of the month is fine. I want to give proper notice. But the real masterpiece was the parking. You see, my house has a driveway, but Valerie always parked on the street because she said maneuvering into the driveway might scratch her car on the fence. What she didn't know was that the neighborhood has strict regulations. No overnight street parking without a permit, and the permits are tied to the property. Technically, she had been parking illegally for months. I called the city's parking enforcement office. I'd like to report recurring overnight parking violations without a permit on my street. There's a vehicle that's been parking there without authorization for months. We can send someone out to ticket the vehicle, sir. Do you have the license plate number? Of course I did. Ryland was keeping me updated with a running commentary, better than any reality show. Day 2. She knocked on my door asking if I had your new number. I told her you joined the Witness Protection Program after discovering her secret identity as a business card collector. Day 3. Parking drama. Her car got a $75 ticket for parking without a permit. She's claiming it's harassment. Day 4. Another ticket. She tried to flirt with the parking enforcement officer to get out of it. The guy was 60 and married. It did not work. Day 5. Plot twist. She tried to convince the next-door neighbor to let her use his driveway. He told her no, because he's never once seen her help with snow removal or neighborhood upkeep. Apparently, that's been bugging people for months. Week 2 rolled around, and I was already in Phoenix, absolutely loving my new job and the desert sun. The pay increase was incredible, and Ryland was giving me daily updates on the Valerie situation, which were better than any soap opera. She tried everything to track me down. She called my parents. Good for him. That girl was trouble, my mom said before hanging up. She messaged my sister. Sabrina blocked her and texted me. Finally, she showed up at my old office. My former boss gave her no information. She posted on social media about fake men who abandon their girlfriends over misunderstandings. The comments section tore her apart as people pointed out she'd never contributed financially. But the best part was when she tried to get Paul to help her. Remember Paul from the networking event? She called him, crying, asking if he knew anyone who could help her with her temporary housing situation. Paul's response: "Wait, weren't you with that guy at the networking event?" Turns out Paul was only interested because he thought she was single. When he realized she was trying to use him to replace her ex-boyfriend's financial support, he blocked her faster than you can say gold digger. He actually asked her if she knew any guys who needed a roommate. According to Ryland's report, Paul told his friends, and now everyone in that networking group knows she's homeless and looking for her next victim. That's when reality hit her. She had maybe $900 in her checking account with no stable income in the Denver rental market, where the average rent is over $1,800 a month, with no job references because social media consultant isn't a real job, and with bad credit because she never had any bills in her name. She tried to apply for an apartment today, Ryland updated me. The landlord asked for proof of income. She showed them her Instagram account. What did they say? They asked her how many followers equals 1 month's rent. She didn't have an answer. The eviction notice came right on schedule. When you're not on the lease and the homeowner moves out, you legally become a trespasser. She called Ryland, sobbing hysterically. Please, I know he has a number. I'm about to be homeless. Maybe you should have thought of that before you treated him like a walking wallet, he told her. I never treated him badly. I was building my career. Your career of collecting business cards from strangers while your boyfriend paid for everything. Then came the desperate text to me. Marcus, please. I'm so sorry. I made a huge mistake. I'm about to be evicted. Please help me. I'll get a real job. I'll pay rent. I'll do chores. Please just give me another chance. I didn't respond to a single one. Complete silence. The silence was more powerful than any argument I could have made. 2 months into my Phoenix adventure, I was absolutely thriving. The new job was challenging and rewarding. The pay increase was allowing me to save money and live well. The weather was amazing, and I had started dating someone, a nurse who actually had her life together and who insisted on splitting the dinner bill. I believe in partnership, she told me on our second date as she reached for the check. I make my own money, and I pay my own way. That's how healthy relationships work. Imagine that. That's when Ryland called with the most satisfying update yet. Dude, you are going to love this. Valerie is working at a sports bar now. No way. Yes way. Maya posted it on her Instagram story, thinking it was supportive or whatever. Your ex is serving wings and taking orders from drunk sports fans. But that wasn't even the best part. Ryland had developed a whole intelligence network dedicated to tracking Valerie's downfall. It gets better. She's living in a tiny studio apartment in the worst part of town, the kind of place she used to make fun of when we drive past it on the way to nice restaurants. How do you know all this? Maya can't keep her mouth shut and thinks I'm sympathetic to Valerie's situation. She calls her crying every week about how hard her life is now. The girl who used to drop $200 on brunch was now eating instant ramen and shopping at thrift stores. The mental image was incredibly satisfying, but Ryland wasn't done. Oh, and the bar job. She applied to like 15 places, and that was the only one that would hire her with no experience, no references, and no skills besides looking pretty and manipulating men. Turns out that doesn't make for a great resume. And what's she making? Minimum wage plus tips. Maya says she's pulling in maybe $300 to $400 a week if she's lucky. In Denver, good luck paying rent, buying food, and maintaining that Instagram lifestyle on that. 3 weeks later, Ryland called with breaking news. Emergency update. Valerie's car got repossessed. What happened? Turns out when you can barely afford rent and food, you also can't afford a car payment. She's been taking the bus to work. Maya says she's devastated about losing her independence. Her independence? The car I had co-signed for because her credit was terrible. The car payments I had been covering for months because she told me it was temporary help until her business took off. The next day, I called the bank. Hi, I need some information about a car loan I co-signed for. The primary borrower and I are no longer in a relationship. I'm sorry, sir, but you can't be removed as a co-signer while the loan is active. However, I do see here that the vehicle was repossessed for non-payment. Would you like to discuss your options for settling the outstanding balance? What are my options? You could either pay the remaining balance and take possession of the vehicle or let it go to auction and be responsible for any remaining debt after the sale. What's the remaining balance? $8,400. I thought about it for exactly 30 seconds. The car was worth about $15,000 in good condition. Even if I sold it for $12,000, I'd still make a profit and clear the debt. I'll pay the balance and take the vehicle. Excellent, sir. We can arrange for delivery within 48 hours. Sometimes, being financially responsible really pays off. I now owned a car that I could sell for over $3,000 in profit. Rylan nearly died laughing when I told him, "Dude, you just made money off your ex's financial irresponsibility. That's next-level karma." 4 months after I walked out of that networking event, I was living my best life in Phoenix. The new job had exceeded all my expectations. I had already received a performance bonus and was assigned to lead a major project that would look incredible on my resume. The nurse and I were getting serious, and she was everything Valerie wasn't: independent, financially stable, emotionally mature, and genuinely interested in building something together instead of finding someone to support her. "I love that you respect yourself enough to have standards," she told me one night as we were cooking dinner together in my new apartment. Too many people stay in situations that don't serve them because they're afraid of being alone. She had no idea how right she was. That's when I got a text from an unknown number. "Marcus, it's Valerie. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I'm in Phoenix for a job interview. Can we please meet for coffee? I really need to talk to you. It's important." I showed the text to Rylan over a video call. "Brother, you absolutely have to meet with her. For the story, think of how epic this ending is going to be. You think I should? I think you owe it to yourself to see how this all plays out. Plus, I need to know how the story ends. This has been better than Netflix for months." He was right. I was also curious to see what she wanted and how much she had changed. "Okay, one coffee, public place, 30 minutes max. Document everything. I want a full report." I picked a busy coffee shop in downtown Phoenix and arrived early to secure a good table with multiple exit routes. Old project management habits. Always have a backup plan. When Valerie walked in, I literally didn't recognize her at first. Gone was the Instagram girl with the perfect hair, flawless makeup, and designer clothes. This woman looked normal, human, tired. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She wore little makeup, and her outfit was basic: jeans and a sweater that had clearly seen better days. She looked like someone who actually had to worry about money. But more than that, she carried herself differently. The confident swagger was gone, replaced by something more timid and humbled. She looked around the coffee shop as if she was afraid someone would recognize her and judge her for being there. "Marcus," she said, sitting down across from me. "Thank you for agreeing to see me. I wasn't sure you would. What do you want, Valerie?" She paused, as if searching for the right words and afraid of saying the wrong ones. "I wanted to apologize. For everything. You were right about all of it." "About what, specifically?" "Everything. The way I treated you, the way I acted at that networking event, the way I took advantage of your generosity and kindness. I was selfish and entitled, and I treated you terribly." She started to cry, but they seemed like real tears, not the crocodile tears she used to use for manipulation. "I lost everything, Marcus. Everything. My friends think I'm a joke. My parents told me I made my bed and now I have to lie in it. And I'm living like a broke college student at 26 years old. And you're telling me this, why? Because I want you to know that I get it now. What I had with you, what I threw away. I was living in a fantasy world where I thought I deserved everything without earning any of it." She wiped her eyes with a napkin from the dispenser. "The studio I live in now is smaller than your walk-in closet. I take the bus to work every day because my car got repossessed. I eat generic brand cereal for dinner 3 nights a week because after rent and utilities, I can't afford groceries." Sounds tough. It is. And it's exactly what I deserve. She looked me in the eye for the first time since she sat down. "I'm not here to ask you to take me back. I know that ship has sailed, crashed, and burned. I'm not even here to ask you for money, though God knows I desperately need it. Then what are you here for?" "To tell you that night, when you left, was the best thing that ever could have happened to me, even though it's been the worst 4 months of my life." That genuinely surprised me. "How do you figure that?" "Because I was turning into a horrible person. Someone who thought the world owed her something just for being pretty. Someone who treated good people like crap because she thought they'd always be there, no matter how badly she behaved." She paused, collecting herself. "The job interview I'm here for is for a customer service position at a call center that pays $35,000 a year. A year ago, I would have laughed at that salary and said it was beneath me. Now, I'm praying I get it because it's twice what I make serving food to drunk guys who think they can touch me because I'm wearing a uniform." And you think you deserve that job? I think I need to earn the right to deserve anything. For the first time in my adult life, I'm actually working for what I want, instead of expecting someone else to give it to me. We sat in silence for a moment as she composed herself. Marcus, I know you have a good life here. Rylan told me you're dating someone who treats you better than I ever did. I'm not here to ruin that or to complicate your life. So what do you want? I want to say thank you. For what? For having enough self-respect to walk away when I told you to. For not enabling me anymore. For forcing me to face reality instead of living in my fantasy world. She stood up to leave. And I want to tell you that whoever is with you now is incredibly lucky because you're a good man with integrity and standards. And I was too selfish and stupid to appreciate it when I had it. She turned to walk toward the door, then turned back one last time. Oh, and Marcus, the door really was right there. I just never thought you'd have the guts to use it. I'm glad you proved me wrong. And with that, she left. I sat there for another 20 minutes, processing what had just happened. Then I called Rylan. How'd it go? He asked immediately. Rylan, I think she actually learned something. No way. People like that don't change. Maybe not permanently, but she seemed different. Humbled. Like reality finally hit her for the first time in her life. Different enough that you'd consider giving her another chance. I thought about my girlfriend, the nurse, who had insisted on paying for our last 3 dates because relationships should be a partnership. I thought about my new job, my new life, my new sense of self-respect and boundaries. Not even close, I replied, but enough that I don't hate her anymore. She's just someone who had to learn the hard way that actions have consequences. That's very mature of you. Yeah, well, it turns out walking through that door was the best decision I ever made, and the most entertaining story I've ever been a part of. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.